I transmigrated as the mad fool, but now I build the cold Regent's heart.
Chapter 8. The days leading up to the final round were a quiet, cold war. Sujin's bridge, a breathtaking miniature replica of a floating pavilion, all delicate jade rails and gracefully curved stone, drew crowds of admirers. My bridge, the ugly, squat structure of matte granite and braided silver soldered steel, drew mostly pity.
This is exactly the manifestation of poetry. This one looks like a bunker.
It looks like a defensive bunker, Lin Xu, Master Feng commented nervously, running a hand over the rough-hewn granite. Where is the poetry? The poetry is in the ultimate tensile strength, Master Feng, I replied. It will stand when the jade pavilion has become dust. I was not worried about the bridge. The braided cables were an improvisation, but they were sound. I was worried about the man who had filed my cables. I knew Sujin wouldn't stop. He was committed to the narrative. Lin Xu's competence is temporary. His madness is permanent. The final round was to be the grand tribute to the Emperor, a showcase of mastery. I had elected to build the celestial harmony sphere, the orrery, the mechanical model of the solar system that required astronomical precision. I spent an extra day in the workshop alone, fine-tuning the most critical component, the main torque gear. This single brass gear was responsible for governing the speed of every other moving piece. It was the heart of the machine. I finished filing the last tooth at midnight, checking the alignment with my specialized loop. Perfect. The brass was shiny, the surface hardness was optimized. I then performed a step that no one, not even General Wei, could have anticipated. I sabotaged my own gear. Taking the small box of brass filings I had collected from the Kinetic Orthesis Project, Chapter 7, and a piece of ultra-fine file, I meticulously and subtly filed down one single tooth on the main torque gear. The damage was microscopic. It would hold for a few rotations, but under the constant, relentless strain of the entire solar system's movement, it would snap at a predictable point, exactly 2 minutes and 15 seconds into the machine's operation. I replaced the gear, closed the housing, and surveyed my work. It was a beautiful trap. Just as I was packing up my tools, I heard a faint, deliberate creak from the shadows near the back entrance. I didn't move. I simply put my small box of extra brass filings and my file into the pocket of my tunic. The door slipped open, and a figure glided into the light. It was Sujin. Dressed in a muted, dark blue robe, a stark, efficient contrast to his usual bright silks. He was carrying a small vial and a fine, diamond-tipped file. He moved with the silent, practiced grace of a seasoned thief, heading straight for my orrery. I watched him from behind a pile of crates. He lifted the glass dome I had placed over the machine. He knelt, his elegant fingers moving with surprising speed and malice. He quickly identified the main torque gear, the single point of failure in any celestial model. He did not use the acid this time. He used the diamond file, working in a fever of anxious concentration. He's attempting to damage a second tooth, I realized. He thinks the machine will still run, but 2 failures will cause an explosive seizure. He worked for less than a minute, then tucked his file away, satisfied. He paused, dusting the non-existent brass filings from his dark robe, and glided back into the darkness. I waited 5 minutes. Then I emerged. I walked to the orrery and examined the gear. Sujin hadn't damaged a second tooth. He had simply polished the tooth I had already filed down. My heart, Elias's heart, thrummed with cold, technical satisfaction. He had not sabotaged my work. He had simply confirmed my sabotage. He had provided the final, conclusive proof of his own criminal intent. I didn't change the gear. I simply opened a hidden internal cavity I had built beneath the machine's base and installed a mechanism I hadn't used since my university days, a seismic tension recorder. It was a delicate spring-loaded stylus designed to scratch a pattern onto a copper plate. When the gear finally snapped under the 2-minute load, the seizure of the machine would create a tiny measurable vibration. The stylus would record the exact time and location of the failure. I also retrieved the small, smooth stone I had used to stabilize the prince's carriage in Chapter 3. I placed it in a separate hidden pocket within the machine. I had planned for him to attack the cable. When he attacked the gear, I simply adjusted the parameters. The machine was now armed. It was not just a model of the heavens, it was a perfect clockwork detective. I left the workshop, feeling no anger, only the quiet, professional pride of a mechanic who had successfully set his most complex trap. The next day, the entire court would watch the machine fail, but the failure would not be mine. It would be Su Jin's.